Diversity means to me that we've got a really diverse, obviously, mix of people. So whether that is kind of race, gender, nationality, sexual orientation, whatever that might be, that we've got a mix of people working together. So we've got diverse teams.
Inclusion and diversity looks like, in a perfect world, like an inclusive environment where everybody can have a voice and have their say, but also where the organisation reflects society as a whole.
So diversity and inclusion is important in tech because we are building software and products that are used by everybody, and we need to have representation involved in building them to make sure that they are fit for the people who need them.
Diversity and inclusion means an awful lot to our industry. I think we've got a moral obligation as a tech recruitment business to help educate our clients that want to be more diverse and want to have a more inclusive culture in their business.
In BookingGo, we have a lot of vacancies to fill, so there's pressure on us to help grow the business, which means that we've got to source as many candidates as possible. It takes a long time to do that because people in tech are in demand. It takes even more time to focus on sourcing in a diverse fashion. So the challenge is balancing your workload and bringing enough people into the business, making sure that you're hiring the right people for the role who are getting through your interview process, but also having a focus on diversity. So it's a balancing act.
Early iterations of voice recognition software didn't recognise female voices. That's because the team that designed, developed it and tested it was essentially culturally homogenous, i.e. white and male. So they had to go back to the drawing board with that solution, start all over again. And that's why it's really important to have diverse teams that create technology, because they create better solutions that are fit for purpose and fit for the audience that they serve.
Recruitment plays a huge part in diversity and inclusion. However, what I will say is that from a cultural point of view, inclusion really is the key, because you can hire lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds, but if they don't feel a sense of belonging, they just won't stay.
I think it's just been a real eye-opener for me personally to see that the message was all about females in tech, and the feedback we were getting from a lot of our clients at Oscar Technology was, can we get more females to do these development roles, for example? And actually, when you scratch the surface and start to learn a lot more about what it really is all about, it's not just about that gender gap or that gender challenge. I think it's been eye-opening to learn more myself about what diversity and inclusion is really all about.
I think there's a lot of ways that we can help improve the situation of getting more diverse people into tech. So starting with really basic things like the way your job descriptions are written, making sure you're advertising in the right place and challenging the business on whether roles can include flexible working. Simple things again, like making sure that you've got a diverse interview panel so that it's kind of comfortable experience for whoever's coming into the business, and training the people in the interview process and the recruitment teams in unconscious bias so that you can make sure that the recruitment process is as fair as possible.
Organisations can improve their recruitment practices in a number of different ways. There's one side of it which is looking at your policies and practices, and one of the things that we do at Liverpool Girl Geeks is we have a membership scheme. We work with 10 organisations in Liverpool really closely on their recruitment practices. So we look at things like, are their policies and procedures sort of airtight in terms of equality? Blind recruitment, for example. So making sure that anybody's application that's sent in doesn't include their name on the first stage. And having a diverse recruitment panel is also really important. But beyond that, it's about how do we retain diverse people in our organisations, and that's about culture. So we do a lot of work with our members on how do we make these inclusive cultures and how do we make it a really positive place to work.
Whenever anyone joins Thoughtworks, we do have a huge part of our interview processes around social and economic justice and making sure there is some sort of alignment, but that doesn't mean that we're done, and kind of working towards this inclusive environment and making sure that people have the right behaviours and the right knowledge to be inclusive is an ongoing thing.
I think recruiters can probably push back on their clients a little bit more to try and educate them on how they can be more diverse when it comes to recruitment generally, and that might be writing a job spec, it might be interviewing a candidate, and then also advice around when they onboard the candidate. What I personally like to see is no more lists. 20 years ago, we would be educating our clients that if a disabled person was coming for an interview and they didn't have a ramp to get into their office, that was a bad thing. But that was 20 years ago. I think now, fast forward 20 years, no more lists, no awkward questions about disabled ramps, no awkward questions about diversity and inclusion. It is just a normal thing.